I'm live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Future Ready Friday. I want to wait till folks come on in, post where you're dialing in from, and we'll get started. Welcome. 14 people on the call. Great. So welcome to Future Ready Friday. It's Friday, July 12th, 2024, episode 3. Today is all about generative AI, where the history of generative AI and how we got here. Hi, Greg. Good to see you, my fellow trainer, Microsoft certified trainer. And and my name is Vickie Sokol-Evans. I'll be your guide today to talk about generative AI. I want to acknowledge everyone on the live broadcast, as well as those of you watching the replay. I so appreciate you blocking that time to come back and watch this session. And I mentioned in episode 1, while folks are joining us, I'll look at the chat, but I mentioned in episode 1, kind of the reasons why we're doing Future Ready Friday. And today's reason is AI. Nothing is more future-driven than artificial intelligence. And this really inspired me to create this platform to help you all become future ready, because I know there's fear out there. Like AI is going to take over my job. And so I'll address that in just a second. Hello. Let's see who's on here. Happy Friday. Hi, Linda. Debbie from Oregon. And nice. Denver, Chicago. Good to see you guys. Okay. So I want to tell you a story. So for those of you who don't know, I've been teaching Microsoft technologies since the 1900s, specifically since 1997. And for decades, I've been saying that there is a technology, someone's working in the garage right now on a technology that we're going to marvel how we ever lived without. I've been saying it for decades. And I know even now, present day, somebody's in the garage making something that we're going to wonder how we ever live without this. And that's generative AI. It's here. And I remember, I don't know, for those of you that are old enough to remember when maybe a friend or colleague had GPS. Do you remember when, like, at some point we didn't have GPS, right? And then I remember my colleague, Jeffrey Skillman, and we worked next to each other at work, and he had a GPS device. It was like this, it almost looked like a big walkie-talkie, if you know what that is. And it was kind of gray screen with black text, and he would go hiking and would use his GPS. And I couldn't wrap my head around why that was even necessary. Like, why do you need a GPS device? And now I can't imagine living without GPS. And same thing with texting. I remember when texting all of a sudden hit the scene, I'm like, well, why would we need to text anybody if we have email? That shows you how long I've been doing this. But now I can't imagine, like, if we're going to do short messaging, I want a text. I don't want an email. Like, I don't want more email. So I would prefer texting. So those GPS texting is so ubiquitous. And that's what generative AI is going to be one day, even though it's so new. And many of you, and tell me in the chat, are you using generative AI? Are you using ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot? Tell me what you're using right now. Or you can tell me, hey, I'm scared of it. I'm not using any of it. Our company isn't even deploying it yet, or maybe our company's deployed it. So tell me where you guys are. And Diana, thank you for sharing this link. I'm so excited. Greg is like, I'm using all of the above. Perfect. Teresa says, I use ChatGPT and Copilot. Jessica, you're Academy member. I saw you on the call this week. She just got Copilot. Randy's none. Francois dipping toes in waters of Copilot. On ChatGPT. Christina's using beautiful AI. Cool. Perfect. And yeah, there are a lot of AI tools. And today I'm going to be focusing on the 3 generative AI players. And I'm going to give you context of, actually, let me go back. In March, here in Austin is South by Southwest. They have an interactive it's a conference, a large conference, global conference. People from all over the world come descend on Austin. And there's the interactive conference. That's where Twitter was launched years and years ago. And any new technology that wants to launch typically will go to South by Southwest. And they also have the film festival and the music festival. Now, when I was here with Ann Hyatt, who was speaking, nobody was talking about Copilot in March of this year. It's July 12th today. And it was all about ChatGPT and Google's Gemini. No one was mentioning Copilot whatsoever. So that made me think, okay, what is the difference between these three tools? We're using Microsoft 365. All of our clients are using Microsoft 365. So where does Copilot stack with all the other two generative AI players? And so then I started looking at the history, and that's what I'm going to give you today is the history of it to give you context when you're thinking about which tool to use and when. So let me make sure I've got all my announcements here. And I mentioned, the garage, like I'm going to talk about the garage year and how this is your garage year. So that's what we're going to be doing. So let's see. Marianne uses ChatGPT and other AI programs available on the internet. Sarah, Copilot and ChatGPT. Mandy is terrified. I totally get it. Here's the thing, y'all. AI isn't going to replace you. Those who know how to use AI will replace you. So this is the time, even way before your company deploys any kind of generative AI tool, this is your garage year. This is where you should be dabbling in these programs. So, because the race is very competitive, and I don't know if you've heard this term, but people are calling it an arms race. And so I'm going to share it with you who's in this race and where you fit in here. So disclaimer, let me go ahead and share my screen. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for me. So disclaimer, and I say this, and every time I teach Copilot, whether I'm teaching it in the academy or in a conference or at a company, the information I'm sharing with you is as accurate as today, July 12th, because these tools are changing almost daily. The first thing I want to talk about is this term ChatGPT, because that's the one that kind of entered the race first in many of our lives is ChatGPT. And what does GPT stand for? So chat means it's the actual front end function. It's chatting back and forth. But GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Generative meaning it's conversational. So if you think about AI, prior to generative AI, so AI like Siri or Alexa or any of those, what are the ones I'm not thinking about? Hey Google, those AI assistants, they're not chatting back and forth. And in fact, a lot of times I'll ask a question and it'll kind of just say, according to the web, and it gives me one answer, and it's not very satisfying because I really want more information. So I'm not able to chat back and forth with an AI assistant. Whereas generative AI means it's a conversational AI tool that I can chat back and forth. Pre-trained means it's been trained with a certain type of model, and I'll talk about the two different models. And then transformer means that it's adding context. So as I am chatting with the tool, then it now has new context. So it's taking what it already knows plus the new context that I'm giving it, and then it's generating a conversation back and forth. So that's what ChatGPT, OpenAI is the one that is the company that created ChatGPT, and then GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So now let's talk about the history. So you can have context. And ChatGPT had 1 million users in 5 days back in December 2022. So how did we get to that? How does a tool like this get 1 million users in 5 days back then? So OpenAI was founded by Sam Altman. He is the CEO of OpenAI. And back in 2005, he dropped out of Stanford. And then 10 years later, he co-founded OpenAI. So I talked about the garage years. So in those 10 years, like what was he doing in those 10 years? He's working in his virtual garage and building this tool. So in 2015, he co-founds OpenAI at the age of 30. And then so that's when version 1 comes out. About 2018 is when version 1 comes out. And then Microsoft's paying attention. So January 2019, Microsoft, led by Satya Nadella, they invested $10 billion in this little 4-year-old company at that time. So by the time Sam is 34 years old, he's got this major investment by Microsoft, which is such a great move by Satya. So that's when version 2 comes out in 2019, and then version 3 comes out in about 2020, back in the pandemic. So you can see while we're dealing with the pandemic, they're also dealing with the pandemic, but they're working behind the scenes on this amazing AI tool. So then in 2022, in December of 2022, that's when version 3.5 comes out, and that's where they had the 1 million users in 5 days. So November 30th is when it launched. By early December, in 5 days, they had 1 million users. And then version 4 comes out in 2023, and this is probably when it came onto the scene for you. Tell me what year in the chat. Tell me what year did you find out? Did you find out about it last year or this year when you heard about ChatGPT? I heard about it last year, last spring, and my first training session was in June of 2023. Teresa's saying 2023. Perfect. And okay, so Diana, I'm going to address that. So Katherine, 2023, Linda, 2023, last year, 2023. Yeah, like you play a role in this. You're just as important to this story as Sam Altman and Satya Nadella. We're going to introduce another player in just a second. Perfect. Thank you so much. So now let's go back to last year. And back in 2023, so in October 20, there's something happened in November 2023. So back in October of last year, at this point, we had 3 AI players. I don't know if you knew this, but we had OpenAI's ChatGPT, Microsoft had Bing Chat, and then Google had Bard. So you may have heard those terms. And then remember, Microsoft made that investment in OpenAI so that the back end machine behind Bing Chat is a GPT, is the same GPT as OpenAI. And we know that's generative pre-trained transformer. So you don't really have to memorize that, but I just want you to know that both of these products are using the same back end GPT. And essentially, and then Google is using Lambda as the machine language. And at that point, it was called Bard back in the fall of last year, or actually last year. This is a large language model, LLM. So if you've ever heard of LLM or a large language model, that is associated with the GPT backend. So they're both using the same type of language model. And then this is federated learning for Google. So all I want you to know at this point, especially as a business user or IT or a leader looking at trying to figure out which investment to make in the AI race, is that both of these, ChatGPT and Bing Chat, Microsoft's, now it's called Copilot. So in November 1st, 2023, Microsoft changed the name to Copilot, from Bing Chat to Copilot. So all you need to know is these are the same things. And then in a second, I'm going to show you, I'm going to dive deeper into Copilot so you can understand the 3 different tools. All right, so we know that these 2 are the same. Google Bard at that time is a separate learning language. Now, let's talk about what happened in November 2023, Sam Altman's Wild Week. I should say generative AI's Wild Week, actually. So on Friday, November 17th, the Friday before Thanksgiving in the United States last year, the board fired Sam Altman from OpenAI. And then over the weekend, Sam and Satya are obviously talking about Sam's next steps. And we hear on Monday, the Monday before Thanksgiving, that Microsoft has offered Sam Altman a job. That's when we all heard about this. By Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving here in the States, we now know that 500 employees wrote a letter to the board threatening mass resignations, and they threatened to go to Microsoft. By the end of the day, there were 770 employees from OpenAI committed to moving over to Microsoft if Sam went to Microsoft. So, and then by Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving, all is well. The board reinstates Sam Altman at OpenAI. But you can see how smart it was for Satya to say, hey, we'll take you. If you're leaving OpenAI, come over to Microsoft. Okay, so that's a very insignificant, important understanding, especially about the relationships between the two products. So fast forward now to February 24th. This is like a soap opera, guys. Fast forward to February of this year. Now we have, so Google Bard changes name. So Google changes from Google Bard to Gemini. So these are the three players now that you're probably familiar with, or if not already familiar with, you should be familiar with. And now here, let's see. I'll come back to this. Well, no, let me say this right now. So how do you know which one to use? If you're using Microsoft 365, it's reasonable and it makes sense for you to use Microsoft Copilot. If your company is using Google Workspace, then it makes sense to use Google Gemini for your AI tool, for your generative AI tool. So the decision comes down to whether to use Copilot or OpenAI's ChatGPT, and then I'll talk about the differences between the two. So obviously, if you're a Google Workspace, Gemini is the way to go. I'm really going to be focusing on which one of these two tools if you're using Microsoft 365 as your productivity platform. All right, one more introduction to make before I tell you what your job is in this amazing story. So I want to introduce you to Mustafa Suleyman. He is the co-founder of DeepMind. And in 2001, again, he dropped out of school, same as Sam Altman, different years, but he too dropped out of school. And then almost 10 years later, co-founded an AI company called DeepMind over in England. And so again, this was 10 years difference, 9 years, his garage years. And then in 4 years later, so similar to here, OpenAI is founded in 2015. Microsoft makes an investment 4 years later. Same thing here, co-founded DeepMind. Google acquires DeepMind. It's now called Google DeepMind for 400 million British pounds, which comes out to about 500 million US dollars. So you can see what's happening here. Maybe this is what inspired Satya to make that investment. I just realized that, probably so. Now, in 2016, so DeepMind created this AI tool called AlphaGo to play an ancient Chinese game called Go. It was invented in China over 2,500 years ago, and it's said to be the oldest board game currently being played today. But in 2016, the AI program beats a human. It was a significant event in the world of AI and as it relates to humanity. And there is a fabulous, fabulous documentary on YouTube that I'll tell you about that I encourage every single person to watch this. Now, in 2022, so at some point, Mustafa leaves Google DeepMind, and in 2022 co-founds a AI company called Inflection AI. And then lo and behold, in 2024, just 2 days before one of my presentations on generative AI, Microsoft hires Mustafa as the CEO of Microsoft AI. So Microsoft owns 49% of OpenAI, ChatGPT, and then, OpenAI, the GPT backend, and then now has Google DeepMind's co-founder now is running the AI arm of Microsoft. I mentioned that documentary. It's completely free. I would just write it down as a to-do. AlphaGo is the name of the documentary on YouTube, 90 minutes. There's obviously, we know that AlphaGo beats a human in the game of Go, but there's some twists and turns. So it's really cool. I encourage you to watch it and let me know what you think. I don't want to give away any spoiler alerts. Okay, so here we are. This is the state of generative AI. This is the drama. And then now this is where you fit in. It's now your AI journey. It's your garage year. And I realize that your company hasn't deployed. We saw Jessica say that her company has deployed Copilot. She now has Copilot for Microsoft 365. But don't let that stop you if your company hasn't rolled it out. In April 9th, we had our GenAI Copilot Start Here class. And you could see these classes. May 13th, OpenAI announces ChatGPT 4.0. June 10th, Apple announces Apple Intelligence, ChatGPT, and Siri. And that it's going to keep going. So this whole journey, this AI journey, is not stopping. Generative AI is going to be as ubiquitous as GPS and as texting. And at some point, we all will marvel how we ever lived without it. So I know it could be scary, like I don't know what to do, but if you follow Future Ready Friday, keep attending. We're going to be having some classes for you to kind of dip your feet in here. Okay, so we don't know if your employer is deploying this yet. Companies weren't prepared they didn't budget $30 per person in order for employees to have AI. So I'm not expecting a lot of companies to actually deploy this year, but don't let that stop you from using it. Your competition is using Copilot. So, your competition is using Copilot, but also your competition is using generative AI. For instance, I was in Chicago at an event with Bonnie Lowe Craman, and we were for our Be the Ultimate Assistant workshop, and we were attending this networking event. And someone came up to me when I talked about Copilot, and they said, I work for a construction company. The CEO of the company wants us all using ChatGPT well before our competition uses it. So by the time this construction company's competition starts using ChatGPT, this particular company has been using it potentially for months, potentially for a year. So again, AI is not going to replace you, people using AI. So now let me talk about the different Copilots here. Thank you, Microsoft. There's multiple versions of Copilot. So I'm going to dive deeper into Copilot because I think everyone understands ChatGPT. It's one tool. Copilot has multiple tools. So you might hear of Microsoft Copilot app. It's a free app. And remember, OpenAI ChatGPT is the front end. The back end of ChatGPT is a GPT, and then external search engines. Those two things make up the ChatGPT. Since Microsoft owns 49%, this GPT right here is the same one that ChatGPT is using. So this is OpenAI's GPT here. So the Microsoft Copilot app is the GPT plus Bing search engine. We also have Copilot Pro, which is a paid version that's $20 per month per person. And then we have Copilot for Microsoft 365 Work or School. Those are the three different ones. And the difference is all of them have GPT and search engine. You can see that. The personal version also has workflow, meaning that Copilot sits on top of inside of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and the Office 365 apps. And same thing for your your work applications. And then there's the Microsoft Graph that's extra in the Microsoft 365 version of Copilot. And that means it's searching all of the files you have access to, your Teams messages, your Outlook messages, when you have a search. So I'm going to narrow down this slide to make it easier for you to understand. Copilot, so both of these are free. And this is, again, GPT, and then the chat, and then the search engine. And then here, this is my personal login. Anytime I show you my personal login, I'm going to have sunglasses on there. And anytime I have the Copilot for at work, it's going to be my professional headshot. So you can tell when I'm logged in that way. When you're logged in, if you go to copilot.microsoft.com at work, so you have to have Microsoft 365. If you go to copilot.microsoft.com and log in with your 365 account, you will have Copilot, the GPT, the search engine, and it will have commercial data protection. That's the difference between the two when you log in with a personal Microsoft ID versus a work Microsoft ID. For your paid version, if you had a paid version, that's when you get that workflow when Copilot will lay on top of the Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and same thing with work. So your company may not have deployed this yet. That's okay. You still have access to this right here. And you can start dabbling in it. Go to copilot.microsoft.com, ask Copilot, let's say you're traveling next week or you're traveling in the next couple of months, ask it for ideas on where to go in that city, and try out the personal version and the work version. We just did that this week in the Academy. This is what it looks like, copilot.microsoft.com here, and then this is the app here. So on the phone. So that's how you get there. And then let's see if I want, so if you start using Copilot right now for personal reasons, whether it's on the mobile device or online at copilot.microsoft.com, by testing it out for personal reasons, if, like, for instance, I would go on a hike with the dog and I would start asking, anytime I had an idea, I would ask Copilot to start tracking my ideas. And then it would give me even more ideas. Things like, hey, I'm interested in teaching a class on Copilot and travel. Give me some ideas. And then Copilot would give me ideas about that. Use it when you're walking, you have ideas, just start posting stuff in there into that Copilot. What we're going to do in the next episodes, I'm going to show you how to use these and some examples. I'm going to have a separate session, an episode on how to create a Microsoft ID. But if you already have Outlook.com, Live.com, Hotmail.com, you then can use that. That's your Microsoft ID. And then account.microsoft.com, and you log in. If you don't have a live Outlook.com Hotmail account, you can use any type of email that you want. You can use your Gmail. You can create one there. So I'm going to stop sharing and see if there's any questions. I realize we're getting close, but I'm happy to stay on with to answer questions if we have that. And I'm happy to also show it to you. Okay, so while you guys are posting any questions, let me show you the difference between the two. So go ahead and share my screen, Gwenda. Okay, so I went to copilot.microsoft.com. I am logged in. I'm not going to click this because it would show my personal email, but up here I would log in with my Microsoft ID. This is Copilot. So remember, this is the back end of this is the same one as ChatGPT, and I can create a new topic, or I can sit here and chat back and forth with this one. I would do the same thing on my mobile app. I would start a new chat, and then for the entire 1 hour hike, I would just sit there and chat with Copilot. And then the beauty of the personal account is that it will save my chats over here on the far right-hand side. Now, I'm going to show you the work version. So when I go to work version, here I'm signed in as Luca. He's our fictitious employee. And you can see that there's no saved chats. You see the green protection, commercial data protection. And I'm actually liking this more and more, even though I'm like, hey, I can't believe I can't save my chats. But I like the fact, like, I can ask questions and go, this is the information I need, and extract it and put it in OneNote. And it doesn't save my questions back and forth because it's protecting my data. It's not using my data to feed into the large language model. So you can go right now, if you have a Microsoft 365 account at work, copilot.microsoft.com, log in as work. You have the web version right here. Now, Luca has an actual paid version of Copilot for work, so Copilot for Microsoft 365. And then he's able to, and yours is probably going to be disabled if your company hasn't rolled it out yet. And he's able to ask anything within the company. So it's within the confines of the actual company. It's not pulling anything from the web. So that's why that might be disabled. So I'm in 2 different browsers because I wanted to show you his work. And then also, if you go to office.com, because he's using the paid version, he has Copilot here and he can ask questions and looking for documents and things like that. So let me see if there's anything else I want to show you guys. I think that is it. So this is my recommendation for next steps for you. Download the Copilot app. Start using that mobile app. You can log in for personal and work into the Copilot app. Use the browser, copilot.microsoft.com. I would definitely recommend watching AlphaGo. Watch that. And the goal is to get 1% better every single day so that you can learn this. And the biggest thing too is that give yourself grace. Give everyone around you grace. So in Tuesday's Academy class, someone said, our IT department says we don't have Copilot, we can't use Copilot at work, then that person tested copilot.microsoft.com, logged in with their work email, and she does in fact have it because she has Microsoft 365. Your IT department is learning this alongside you. So nothing has ever entered our space so quickly like generative AI. So we're all learning it at the same time. All right, question.
Hey, Vickie, just while you're on the subject of IT, Marianne has a great question.
Okay.
If IT adds Copilot to Teams at work, is it more secure than using the free version?
So having having Copilot within Teams means that you have Copilot for Microsoft 365. Any paid version is always going to be more secure. Any work-related version at work is going to be more secure than the personal version, I should say. So you always have that commercial data protection. Hopefully that helps. Yeah. So someone's asking, Sarah's asking about our company requires a business case for AI access. What is a compelling non-rejection business case? She's an EA. So we just used AI. We just used Copilot this past week in our academy class for travel planning. And that is a game changer. Just getting ideas on getting around a specific city, what to do in the city, finding restaurants, things like that. Copilot has, when we did a comparison between Copilot, ChatGPT, and Gemini, we found that Copilot had source links where you can go and get more information. I did like Gemini's maps. So I did like using Gemini along with Copilot. What I would do, Sarah, is I would start using Copilot personal and start getting used to using it in your day-to-day and see how it saves time, see how it generates more information. One of the things from a business use perspective is when you have the Copilot for Microsoft 365 within Outlook. Let's say you and I are emailing back and forth for the past 2 weeks about an event we're doing, and you can click on Copilot to summarize our emails going back and forth, so you don't have to review the entire thread. So there are a lot of amazing benefits. Yes, great, Teresa. Let's see. So Lori's Byland, yeah, they should check with our IT department before sharing any confidential information. Yeah, Gwenda, great minds think alike. Please do not put any sensitive work-related information in the free version of Copilot, copilot.microsoft.com. If you're logged in with your personal ID, go to the website, Copilot Web, and log in with your work account. And if you want to post sensitive information, that way you have that commercial data protection. And that is free. So you can start using, and Sarah, that's an idea too, to start using the free version at work, using your work ID. Let's see. Cool. Thanks for sharing the AlphaGo. That is a great documentary to watch with the family too. LinkedIn user, do you have any suggestions of wording in showing that we are learning Copilot, ChatGPT on our LinkedIn profiles, even if our companies have not deployed AI, especially since AI won't take our jobs with someone who uses AI, right? So I would, if you're testing out, let's say you are researching and investigating and testing out Copilot and Gemini and ChatGPT, you could say actively testing and using generative AI tools such as ChatGPT, Copilot, and Gemini. Becoming a raving fan, or getting 1% better every day, whatever you want to use, like staying on top of all the generative AI tools and new features, use cases, things like that. And if others have examples too, that would be great. We can share that. Your company has blocked the Copilot website. So, oh, bummer. Okay. So don't let that stop you. Start using it on your phone. Download the app to your phone and start using it. Here's an example of how I used it. And I know we've gone beyond 30 minutes, but I do want to answer these questions. I had jury duty, which I was super excited about, and because I'm a nerd. And I remember it was the day I was supposed to go down to the courthouse, and I didn't know what am I supposed to wear? I don't know what to wear for jury duty. Is it casual, business? I don't know. So I could have looked at my email. I could have gone to my computer, searched my email. I could have gone to search their website, but I felt like that was too long. So I decided, oh, let me ask Copilot. So I asked Copilot, I'm going to this court in Austin. I have jury duty. What's the dress code? And it gave me, within 5 seconds or less, it gave me the dress code. It's kind of like, have you ever been to a restaurant? And you know that for restaurants, they have a sign where the restrooms are. But it takes us a lot of, it takes me too long to look for signs. So typically I'll get up and I'll ask somebody who works there, where are the restrooms? Excuse me, where are the restrooms? And then they'll go, it's right there. And the sign is right there, but I need to ask somebody. I want to ask somebody where the restrooms are versus me look for it. So that's how I treat Copilot when I don't want to say I'm lazy. It's like when I want to get to the answer fast and I want to ask somebody, then I'll use Copilot. So let's see. Okay, let me give you some homework. So number one, keep in mind that, companies they don't have the budget for $30 per person this year. They didn't think about it last year because it wasn't on the scene last year. So it might take a whole year for this to happen, for it to be deployed. If you have Microsoft 365 at work, then just go ahead, try copilot.microsoft.com, and then log in with your account, your work account. You can accelerate your learning by attending the classes in the academy. So we've done 6 different classes on Copilot. Next month in August, we're doing privacy and security, because now I am obsessed with figuring out, what does it mean for commercial data protection? What's the difference between ChatGPT and Gemini when it comes to privacy and security? Is my information being used to train the model? So that's what we're going to be diving deep into on this. We meet on the second Tuesday of every month. Let's see. If you're in IT and on the deployment team, I would urge you to consider deploying to assistants first before you deploy to leadership, so that their assistant could provide real-time support and training at their desk. So if leadership has Copilot first and the assistant doesn't have it, it's impossible for the assistant to know how to train and support the executive. So I would consider, I think the companies that do push this out to assistants first will have a better deployment success and adoption that way. Rely on your subject matter experts, especially those that are certified in Microsoft Office. They know 80% of Office 365. So definitely leverage your certified employees to become an extension of IT, to become your Copilot training champions. And if you want to become a subject matter expert in Office 365, it's not too late to become certified, MOS certified. So Microsoft Office specialist in all of these apps. It would be of great value to have someone, at least one expert on the team in 365, and that's available for business users. And last but not least, let's give each other grace. Let's give yourself grace, IT grace, everyone around you grace, because we are all learning this at the same time. Any last minute comments, Gwenda, or anything? Great idea. If not, I just want to thank you for attending today's Future Ready Friday episode. Oh, wait, Gwen, do you have something for me?
Yeah, I've got one. Lisa's got a really interesting question that a lot of people would benefit from, and we've actually used this. Can I upload transcripts from a Teams meeting and ask Copilot to turn them into minutes, and the text is uploaded confidential and not shared into either?
So, So the first thing I would say, number one, if you had Copilot for Microsoft 365, so if your company was paying the $30 per month, Copilot within Teams, your Teams meeting already does that. It creates a transcript. You can create a summary, action items, things like that. For your, and I haven't tested this yet, if you don't have Copilot for Microsoft 365 and let's say, I mean, you could try it. Try posting the notes into copilot.microsoft.com using your work email address and ask it to summarize I would start by this. I would say, hey, Copilot, I have minutes from a meeting and I would like to create a summary, or I have notes from a meeting. I would like to create meeting minutes. Can you do that? And I'll paste the notes in here and then have Copilot respond to you. And because sometimes it'll say, no, I can't do that. Or they'll say, yeah, go ahead and paste the notes in there. So try it, but make sure you have that green icon before you paste any company related notes into copilot.microsoft.com. The other way you could do this, but again, you need Copilot for Microsoft 365, is to drop it into Word and have Word create minutes within Word. And that's that workflow piece. So multiple ways. That's a great question. Thank you for that. Yeah, so this is your garage year, y'all. I can't wait to see how you do. And your garage year could be 1 month. Your garage year could be 2 years. Who knows? But this isn't going away. This is our tool now that we're using, and every single person on the planet is going to need to know this. So thank you so much. Thank you, team, for being on the call with me and producing the show. Gwenda Garrison and Jen Wilner. Thank you all for attending today. We'll see you next week on Future Ready Friday. I'm going to be at Be the Ultimate Assistant workshop. So I think I'm going to record something for you and have it broadcasted. So we're going to test that out, but we'll make an announcement on our social channels. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining. Have a great weekend.